Okay, you sparked something. I'm going to divert a little bit.
Okay.
Just hear me out, if you will. So you mentioned MDMA, and that was something I wanted to talk about with the herd stuff. So I've never done MDMA before, but this came up in Amber Heard's testimony. Sorry, but this is yeah. So she said that Johnny did like 10 MDMA, and also said that Johnny was very violent when on MDMA. Admittedly, I've never partaken in MDMA.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some of you, maybe some here have. But from what I've been gauging in the chat, you don't usually become violent. And if you would take 10, you probably would be dead because of so much serotonin that is going through you.
Yes.
So that's something that she testified to. Does anybody, Howard?
I can speak with authority on this. I don't know, maybe Morgan can as well. Okay, I guarantee you nobody is getting violent on MDMA. I even put this in the comments underneath the Legal Bites stream of yesterday. I've been around pretty scummy people, being in my former line of work, and even they don't get violent on MDMA. It's fucking impossible. Okay, you are open to the world in a way that if you haven't been on MDMA, you can't actually understand. It's like an all-pervasive love. You become God, and everyone is, your brother and sister. And that you would have to be taking another drug. It'd have to be a combination that makes you go into a psychosis. Also, with the dosage, right? I remember her saying was, well, we took one, and then I couldn't tell how much he took because he took a handful, and these are capsules with the crystal in. No, you're not doing that. Nobody's doing that, because you will just... I don't even know. I've taken way too much MDMA, but I spaced it out over maybe 6, 7, 8 hours, because I know that if I do more than 250 milligrams at once, which almost nobody really does at once ever, I would be just a vegetable in the corner staring at and not even having a good time, just like wondering like what dimension I'm in. Like, it's impossible. It's so absurd on its face. And this whole scenario where, and for context, Amber Heard is bisexual, and she was in a relationship with a woman before Depp, or, while she met Depp and got romantic with him. They both cheated, by the way. That should be remembered. Now, they were on this plane, and according to Amber Heard, they got talking to the air hostess, or whatever you call on a private plane, and Johnny Depp kind of convinced this air hostess that she can take MDMA with them, which is weird, because someone in that position, I'm not entirely sure. We can have that separate conversation of like, if Johnny Depp, while you were at work and you had responsibilities and the rest of your life was on the line, would you take MDMA with him?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not the point, right? The idea is that, according to Amber, it set in, the lovey thing began, and, because they were both women, she, the air hostess, felt more comfortable with Amber, so they began to be close. And Johnny got jealous and pointed this out, and the air hostess got defensive. Amber's word, defensive. But then Johnny was having none of this, grabbed her fist, slammed it on the table and said, "I can break your fucking fist," and did this repeatedly. Like he was in a psychosis. No, none of this makes sense. I'm sorry.
This is fucking brilliant. He's a pimp, he's a fucking pimp, man. Like, fuck me, Just a weirdo on a plane, like, so. I could barely get a bag of peanuts off a fucking air hostess on a plane, like, never mind to agree to a fucking threesome.
Yeah, really, I mean, come on. Private planes are different to an extent, but I mean, I don't think that a hostess is going to freaking do MDMA with you.
It's first class service. It's a different world, apparently. I haven't taken ecstasy, so I can't speak to it.
Well, it's not ecstasy. MDMA is not ecstasy.
No, it is. Those are the exact same thing.
Really? Oh.
What would frequently be called?
I've never done
at all, ever. Sorry, I've never taken ecstasy at all. So I've had a quick search here on PubMed.gov. So there is some scientific literature to suggest that there is a relationship or a link between aggression and ecstasy. So I'll just read the abstract. So we can get a feel for it. While clinical studies have established the link between aggression and ecstasy, 3-methylene dioxymethamphetamine, or MDMA, no research has attempted to explore how this link manifests itself in behavioural outcomes. In this research, we examined the effects of ecstasy on aggression and violent behaviour in a sample of active users. Data were collected from 260 ecstasy users in Atlanta, Georgia. Data analysis includes ordered logic regression to examine the likelihood of engaging in aggressive behaviour, controlling for key predictors of aggression independent of the ecstasy use. So you're going to have a propensity for aggression to begin with.
Actually, no. There's a huge hole in this study. If I lived in Atlanta, that would be my baseline. I'd always be aggressive.
Atlanta, it's not a great city. Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Our results indicate that those with a higher prevalence of lifetime ecstasy use exhibit higher levels of aggression and violent behavior. However, the effect of lifetime ecstasy use differs by levels of low self-control as a measure of propensity for aggression. Those who exhibit low self-control are more affected by ecstasy use than those who do not in terms of aggression. Our findings add an important dimension to our current knowledge about the relationship between aggression and ecstasy.
So that's interesting, because Amber wants to portray Johnny as this very coordinated, controlling individual who can, wants to predict and control her every action, but based on this study, he would have to have a lower capacity for self-control to become violent. So that doesn't really add up to an extent, just based on that study alone. It just seemed like total horseshit. I mean, I was like, I've known, I went to music festivals before, and I've never partaken. I just drank at these festivals, but I've seen people, and I've never seen a fight break out with a bunch of people.
Exactly.
But again, it's the setting. So we know the setting. So here's the deal. Listen, this is very fucking simple. You're going to see aggressive behavior if you're a cunt. If you're acting a cunt in front of somebody, the natural progression of that behavior is going to be aggression. It's a rare person who could just fucking stand there and take your bullshit endlessly. At some stage, it's going to be turned back on you. So if she is, putting it up to him in any way, shape, or form, it's going to turn into aggression. It's a human behavior. It exists for a fucking reason. It is pure fantasy to expect that there will never be any aggression in the world. So it's all fantasy. It's all fucking nonsense. There's nothing wrong with aggression. It's there for a reason. It's to control it, and it has to be expressed in plain, clear language that if you put it up to a man, be you a man or a woman, you are going to be faced with some level of aggression, which can range from raising one's voice to shouting to eventually, if you push enough buttons, you're going to be physically assaulted. That's how it ends, which may ultimately end in you losing your life, depending on the person you're dealing with. So that should be understood from the get-go. So really, it's to try and avoid that level of conflict, and that's difficult.
Yeah. Wait, I have a question now on the tail of what you said about the methodology of the study. What was it? They were in a padded cell, and then someone comes in and says, "Look at you down there, you pathetic fuck,"
Look at you, you piece of shit, you Atlantan piece of dirt.
I'm just back from fucking your mother. Is that like, how do you,
I don't know. But science. Who cares? Follow the science.
Right.
Yeah.
Poke the stick endlessly.
And look, the counterbalance to that study is a study known as the 1990s, where almost everyone was on MDMA at some point or another, and there was thousands of them gathered together at any time, and just look at at any major city. Nightclubs, what have you, especially in Ireland. I don't know about further afield, but you get a lot of fisticuffs, you get a lot of conflict, and that's human beings on alcohol. But then you had all these raves underground, unpoliced, there weren't managers, there weren't security walking around, the police weren't there, and everyone was just a puddle of love. And yeah, okay, maybe a fight broke out occasionally. I mean, that's if you roll a dice long enough, you're going to get snake eyes. Yeah, but it according to everyone that we know, well, not all of us, but me, and if you went out looking for evidence, no, there was
I've
nothing.
To my fair share of raves. There's never trouble.
I went to a few
people on ecstasy.
Like I said, nobody was.
Yeah, but stuck in a house with fucking Amber Heard, having taken some ecstasy, you may be prone to some level of aggression.
God, this bitch that won't leave you alone, nagging you to fucking solve the fucking relationship problems. You can't even fucking hide in the bathroom for 5 minutes without this bitch, like a banshee, coming after you. Yeah, of course, punch the bitch in the face. Sorry,
mate,
she had it coming.
Yeah, and again, what's important here is context. So it will. I'm sure his aggression depends on context, like everything else. And I don't know.
It depends on
maybe
it depends
Johnny
on the
is aggressive.
It's not something that can be just like quantified into a meeting. But generally, from what I've seen, people on ecstasy and MDMA aren't reacting in that totally violent state. Unlike, alcohol, that could immediately almost bring out that state in some people, really. So.
Yeah. It is comical. You have visions of somebody just walking into a room, swallowing 10 E's, and then bursting into a rage, like, "Rah! I'll fucking kill you. Where are my shoes, you whore?"